Chris Barker here for DC HiVi Group. I am in my garage for a change on a nice sunny day here in September 2020, and I've taken delivery of the HiVi 3.1 loudspeaker kit. And I'm today going to glue the box together in preparation for building these speakers, and hope you enjoy it. There's a lot of good stuff already out there, but I just thought I'd add my contribution. I've got another camera on time-lapse, so hopefully you'll be able to see that pretty well. And my first go of it here, so be understanding here, but I'll check back in with you in a little bit and see how it's going. Okay, your neighborhood speaker builder, Chris Barker, DC HiVi Group, back with an update. Hopefully the time-lapse photos will confirm that I was able to put this box together. You can see it all taped up in the background there. One box down, one box to go. I think I've got the hang of it now. Probably not going to film the second one since it's basically a repeat of the first. So we'll move on eventually to sanding, and then I'm going to paint them white. Seems to be the preferred color given the black driver seems to really set them off rather nicely. So I'm going to take a trip to the hardware store and pick up some rattle can spray paint. I think that will do. We'll see how it comes out. It's all a big experiment, but also, of course, we'll be soldering together the crossover, which I expect to be very easy to do, relatively. I have the upgraded parts for the upgraded version of the crossover, and we'll check in with you at that point. Chris Barker here again, DC HiVi Group, DIY, and like magic, I've got two boxes built now, glued together, of the HiVi 3.1s, and I think I've got everything put together correctly. Doing a little bracing and taping. I'm going to let these cure and dry for the next few days, and in the meantime I will assemble the crossover. We'll do a video on that, and then we'll prepare to finish the speakers. As I said, I think I'm going to go with a white finish. That seems to be popular. I think it looks good with the black drivers. So we'll do a rattle can finish, as they call it. Satin white is what I'm going to pursue, and see how that turns out. So I'll update this as I continue. Stay tuned. Chris Barker here, DC HiVi Group. I am no longer in my garage, but back in a room in my house, and we're continuing on the work on the HiVi 3.1A DIY loudspeaker. The cabinets have come out nicely. They've been firming up and with all the glue that I put on them, and I've been working on the finish, and we'll address that shortly. But part of the speaker, of course, is the building of the crossover, which is a pretty straightforward process in terms of electronic needs. It's fairly simple. Here is the HiVi supplied crossover. It's nicely constructed, well laid out, and well labeled. Now, of course, we want to take since it's an audiophile project, we want to take things to the next level. So we're using the modified component list, not the original list from HiVi. So we're kind of substituting in some key resistors and capacitors and inductor in a couple of spots for the original values that HiVi supplies to get the utmost out of the speaker. And I'm going to just use this nice printout picture I took of the revised crossover components, and I've already ordered all the components and have them here. The various resistors and capacitors and all that good stuff. And I've got them all laid out here, so I think I've got everything lined up, so it should be a pretty straightforward process of populating the printed circuit board, or PCB for short, and then soldering them together. Nice solder pads on the back, makes it easy. And I'll do a time lapse, of course, on this again, so you don't have to sit there and watch me fiddle around for however long it takes me. And then we'll have a completed board, and that will do that. And the only thing left to do will be to add in the connections for the speaker wires, which we'll do at a later point to finish when we're finally assembling everything. So there we are. So I'll check back with you as I complete things. Hello again, Chris Barker here, DC Hi-Fi Group, working on the HiVi 3.1A DIY loudspeaker. As you saw with the time lapse, I was able to create the PCB with the upgraded components that I purchased separately from Parts Express to optimize the sound of this loudspeaker. Here is the completed board. As you can see, I believe all the components are correct and in the correct positions, verified by the photograph I was referencing. Just a little bit of cleanup. You can see I've got a zip tie there. I got to put a couple more zip ties on the inductors just to keep everything nice and stable. And once that's done, all that would be left is to add in the speaker cable, which we'll do at a later point. So, I'm going to sign off at this point and check in with you in a little bit with the next step, which will probably be the painting of the cabinets. Looking forward to that. And then we'll get to the final assembly. Hello again, Chris Barker here, DC Hi-Fi Group. We are now at a momentous stage in the HiVi DIY 3.1 speaker build. I have completed building the cabinets, as you can see in the background. I have sanded them and lovingly taken care of their curing process, and I believe they are now ready to receive a final painting, which I've described before as using a rattle can spray white satin finish, hoping this will be good. And I also, off camera, applied a sanding sealer to the MDF did this after doing a little research, and of course MDF is very absorbent, and the sanding sealer should deal with that so that the paint lays down very nicely and isn't just kind of soaked up and needing more and more coats to get a good result. I'm going to again go to time lapse, since I don't know how long this will take, and you can observe my progress there, and I will return with an update at some point. Hello again, Chris Barker here, DC HiVi Group. We are quickly arriving at the culmination of the HiVi 3.1 DIY speaker build. In the background you can see one of the completed cabinets now freshly painted in a nice satin white finish. It came out pretty well. It's not 100%, it's not flawless. I would give it maybe a generous 6 out of 10, but I'm happy. Anyway, in this segment, I'm going to go ahead and install the crossover. I've already attached all the wires, the leads, so that's all set. And put the terminal box on the back, and that's what you'll see in this time lapse. And then we'll move on to doing the actual speaker themselves. See you then. Back with the status update on the HiVi 3.1 build. As you can see, I have now installed the crossover and the terminal plate on the rear. I'll try switching all around here and see if I can give you a better image here. So there we go with the front. There we go. Here we get some light on the situation. You can see now the crossover is nicely seated at the bottom of the speaker. The terminal plate is now installed. All the wires are labeled and ready to go for the hookup. And also, I didn't talk about, but I installed the port and also the foam. Speaking of the foam, there is a nice diagram that you can get on the website for the HiVi speakers, which shows you how to cut the foam to size for the various sections of the speaker. And so that makes it a lot easier rather than having to figure that out. So there we are. We'll be back in a moment with some more updates. Hello again. We're now proceeding to the driver installation, and I have the tweeter all lined up and ready to be soldered, and I'll have a time lapse on that operation. Okay, looks like I've got the tweeter in. Those bolts were a little bit tough to do with hand tools. I probably could use with a driver of some sort, electric driver, but in the end I think I've got it down. It certainly isn't going anywhere. And we'll move on now to the mid-range driver and then the woofer, and then I think we're pretty much got this thing buttoned up. And there we are, a completed HiVi 3.1 speaker in all its glory. I hope you agree that the white finish was the way to go with these drivers. I think it looks pretty darn nice. I'll shoot some beauty shots a little later on, and of course we have to try them out, but of course we still need to finish the other speakers, so hopefully that'll go a little more quickly now that I've done it once and know some of the issues I had to deal with. Get back to you soon. Hello again. Chris Barker here at DC Hi-Fi Group, and we have reached the conclusion of the DIY 3.1 HiVi speaker build. And I thought I would just end with a little bit of a parting shot. Really difficult to do any kind of listening over the internet because I don't know what on the other side of your screen it's going to sound like. But I will play a little bit of music. Hopefully no one will object. I'm going to probably use the Chesky Records Audiophiliac sample as a point. I hope Dave Chesky does not mind in the interest of promoting good music. And you can download that free from the Audiophiliac and David Chesky's record site. So you can see in the background the two completed speakers. Again, I think they look very good in the white with the black drivers, and let you decide for yourself. I'm going to switch things around and give you some close-ups of the completed speakers, and then we'll do a little audio demo to wrap things up. And here we are. So there's the woofer, mid-range, and tweeter, ribbon tweeter. And give you an idea of the finish here. Again, I think the white came out pretty well. Not flawless, but pretty good. There's the backside, and the port, and the connections. Yeah, I think these are not too shabby at all.
Once again I find myself so much farther than I may have wanted to go. Here I found dreams that I never knew that I could have. Oh, that I could have. I am here. Do you see me?
So there you have it. I guess the question everybody wants to know, well, how the heck do these sound? I think they're very good. I think for the price, considering they're $300, little sweat equity, they're very competitive. The three-way design, I think, is very helpful in that the vocals are outstanding. Imaging and instrument placing in the sonic field I find excellent as well. As discussed in some of the posts, specifically on the Audio Science review, they still could be a little bit bright in certain regions. Right now I'm listening with a suggested 4K 2 dB and a Q of 2 cut, in addition to a roll-off at 30 hertz and a room mode adjustment of 300 hertz. Just so it's so easy. I'm using Roon to do these types of things. I think everybody should, if they're using Roon, take advantage of the built-in parametric EQ possibilities. It's a really astounding feature of that software. But even without that, I think they sound very good. I really can't complain terribly. They seem to function very nicely. Whether they're a giant killer or a best of in this category, it's hard to tell, but many people have been satisfied and happy with these. So I encourage you to do your own research and see if this is something you'd like to pursue. I think there's a lot of fun in building your own hi-fi gear and learning about how things go together. So that's me, Chris Barker, DC Hi-Fi Group, signing off. Thank you for your attention and watching this video. And good luck in your sonic adventures wherever they may take you.